think people would agree, and I'm not saying anything new, that we know why we need to make changes. If you change health services to put the patient more in control, so again they are not being told what they should do, they are actually being treated as an expert on themselves, because they know what they want, they know their preferences, and they understand themselves. The clinician and the teams will be the expert using good evidence to come up with options and choices, but it's got to be a partnership between the two. And there are a range of options that can be accessed by people at their choice, which are going to make improvements for them, whatever their condition is. And the outcome of that is going to be that their mental and physical health will improve as a result. And beyond that, you can't disconnect health and well-being from absolutely everything else. It has much wider connections with people's well-being, whether it's to do with their employment, their education, to the extent to which they get involved with their communities, and that will improve communities in general. This all sounds fine, and it's the stuff that my colleagues and I read a lot of the time, and it makes sense. Fortunately, I get help from time to time, and I actually get to go and do real things. And one of the things that struck me was when I went, I think it was in North Tyneside, I was filling in for a colleague, but essentially this was an engagement event, which was around mental health for older people. And I was on a table with a group of people who were all talking from their personal experience about what would have made things better for them, and what they wanted to see. And what they were saying is, this is fantastic. We think it's a really good thing that talking therapies is being massively expanded. It's very, very, very good. However, for us, that isn't necessarily what we want, because it is the connection with other people that's the issue. And we know there are lonely people sitting in houses, so it'll take months to persuade them to come out. But what they're essentially doing was the people were leading their own walking groups. They were getting people out walking, going for a short walk and talking with other people. And they were saying what would be really helpful is if a very small amount of investment and support would be there for us, because we can see this works. Now, why can't your systems help us support that? Because it will cost far less and will contribute. And I know, just from talking to my colleagues, that there is examples of feedback like that and activation from communities going on absolutely everywhere. So I think that's what makes it real for us when we look at words like this, which are fantastic. So as a group of people working in the North East, we do try and make sure that the jobs that we do are there to support this type of activity. Again, I was listening to what Leslie was saying, and Wade and Paul, and they were talking about the fact that it does come down to the leadership and the behaviours that are there in all sorts of organisations, no matter what they are. And if you ask any group of people, will you all collaborate, get on and agree, every one of them will say yes. And then there's actually the challenge of seeing people actually do that and not letting the barriers come back up. We talk a lot about change, making change happen. We know it needs to happen, we want to see it. But there is a lot of work going on, unfortunately, looking at how you support that change happening. Once you've got the people in the room, what do you do with them to actually genuinely break down the barriers and get some real change, so people don't just go away at the end of the meeting or whatever and do exactly what we've done before. Because I often feel I'm not the frontline clinician. I am an NHS worker who you probably say was sort of more bureaucratic and sits behind a desk, but there's absolutely no doubt that sort of when our team sees something that has resulted from what we do, that it makes an improvement for patients, that's important to us. So we are educated in the same way as other people, and our leaders in the same way. We actually want to see an improvement for people. We want to see the evidence, and the evidence is very important.
Asking the questions about carers and on the involvement hub, where the training is, where that link takes you. There are, just around carers, there is something called community grants, which is we give grants each year to voluntary and community sector organisations, so they can show in a creative way how they've done some meaningful engagement with groups of people that have resulted in improved health and care outcomes. One of the groups this year is a group called Creative Carers, actually. So they're currently producing a film and a toolkit, and that'll be available via the Involvement Hub. There's one of my colleagues is working with people in secure services and their carers, and there's a very large toolkit being developed that people can use to work with carers in those situations, but I'm sure can be adapted to others as well, because there'll be some commonalities. There's also one of the training courses is actually to help people understand what it means to be a carer, because if you're working in the NHS or in whatever organisation and you don't understand the things that you need to do, the importance of working with carers, engaging with carers, and also the things you need to consider when you're doing that. For example, times to do that, costs involved, all sorts of things. So that little training course is aimed at increasing people's knowledge. So that's an e-learning training course on there that's available for people. So it's just to really highlight these resources are available. And also, if you register for In Touch, it's the newsletter that we send out to volunteers and partners that work with us in the NHS. So if there's new training available or new things, consultations, all that sort of thing, we will send that out to people. It's a 2-week publication. So if you're interested in hearing from us, you're interested in volunteering with NHS England, the national team, please register for that, and then you're kept informed. You'll hear about different things that are going on in the Involvement Hub.